Okay, I'm just going to make a very quick video, mainly because I want to draw as many eyes to my channel as I can before I post my dubbed video. My dubbed video is likely to be, it possibly could be, the best video ever posted to YouTube. But I may never finish it because I am a fuck up, mate, of the very highest order. I cannot trust myself to do anything. Be that as it may, I've discovered something quite interesting, and I'm probably wrong about what I'm going to say about this, but I did read a book many years ago called Is There Life After Death? The Extraordinary Science of What Happens After We Die. A massively speculative book. And what is this video about before you click off? Because I'm certain I'm annoying you already. Look at this. This is a painting called The Wild Hunt by an artist named Franz von Stuck. Now, Franz von Stuck was born in 1863, and he finished this painting and published it in 1889. Hitler was born in 1889, right? It cannot possibly be true that Hitler appears in the image. Certainly not as an adult. That doesn't make any sense. But some physicists say we live in something called a block universe, which basically means that there's no real difference, quantumly speaking, if you're a quantum particle, between the past, the present and the future. If you're an electron or something stupid like that, there's no real difference. Time is symmetrical. It can run forwards, it can run backwards, and it will look the same. A ball bouncing up and down, if you were to film a ball bouncing up and down, so long as it reached the same height every bounce, if you showed that footage in reverse, it won't look any different. Some physicists say that time is kind of like that. And because of that, some people speculate quite wildly and say that this means there's no difference between the future and the past, and therefore if you're a highly conscious animal, like a human being, maybe we're aware of our future. I mentioned the book, didn't I? The Science of What Happens When We Die. See, the guy who wrote that thinks that when we die we go back to the beginning of our lives and live our lives again. He thinks that some people can sort of remember their future, right? Now, when we look at this painting from von Stuck, it was published in 1889, and Stuck died in 1928. That means that during von Stuck's life, towards the end of von Stuck's life, Hitler failed at the beer hall putsch. That was a national story. Hitler had the trial and went to prison. That was a national story. And Hitler published Mein Kampf. All this happened in Munich, exactly where von Stuck lived. Now, if you're von Stuck and this is happening, you're going to be aware of that, I think. And so, maybe von Stuck, when he painted this image, is remembering Hitler. And the reason he paints this is because he remembers a public propaganda image, maybe. He's remembering it and he paints it. Now, obviously, the image I've used here, these images we believe were taken before von Stuck died. Only a couple of years before, but they were taken before von Stuck died. So, but my point here really isn't that von Stuck might have seen this particular image. This was taken by Hoffmann, and Hitler is posing for his speeches. Now, this is an image from the same series of Hitler, and this is an image from von Stuck's work. Hitler, it turns out, was aware of von Stuck's work, and it's been reported that Hitler actually saw the Wild Hunt image as well. We don't know that for certain, but some people think, who were around at the time, think that he did see it. Hitler actually saw this very painting, and it left a real impression on him. So when Hitler is doing this, von Stuck is still alive, and there are images of Hitler all over Munich. His book is out. He's being photographed by a professional. Public image, propaganda. This was very, very important to the Nazis. And we think that von Stuck was sympathetic to the Nazis. He was not a radical Nazi. There was no such thing, really, unless you were in the party, which he obviously wasn't. But he was more nationalist than anything else. So did he later go on to read Mein Kampf? Did he later go on to see images like this? And because he later went on to do that, he, painted this. I know that's stupid. I'm not expecting anyone to agree. But ever since I read Is There Life After Death? And the guy who wrote this book is convinced that there is science. He apparently knows a lot of physics, this guy. He's convinced that there is evidence that we go back to the beginning of our lives, rebirth, eternal death, eternal rebirth. But maybe the universe is a strange thing, and after it's gone, it's reborn again, and because it's reborn, we're reborn. And because we are highly conscious animals, certain kinds of people, like an artist, can kind of remember. So just before I go, I'm just going to point out similarities here, right? Obviously we've got the hairstyle in the painting, the side parting, although we can see a lot more forehead in Hitler. But I have to say this is supposed to be Wotan, by the way, in the image. It's not supposed to be Hitler, obviously. The painter is not supposed to know that Hitler exists, of course. But in all other images I've seen of Wotan, he's got a long beard and a long moustache. But in this image he hasn't. You can see his chin. The nose is a bit different, but the moustache is kind of there. The moustache is there, but there's no beard. The eyes are kind of similar. The cheekbone. Although the right-hand side of Hitler's face, as we look in the painting, is in shadow. This isn't true of the image. We've got the hand as well. So it isn't certain, obviously, that von Stuck saw this image of Hitler, this posing image. But the question is, did he see propaganda imagery before he died? Did he read Mein Kampf before he died? Hitler was aware, quite clearly, of von Stuck while von Stuck was still alive. These pictures were taken, as I've said, while von Stuck was still alive. So obviously the reasonable explanation is that Hitler sees von Stuck's work as a child, which we know almost certainly did happen, and then he models himself on the imagery he sees in the painting. That's the grounded, sensible, most likely explanation, obviously. But the face, it's alright doing your hair, because I could put my hair in a side parting, and you would think that I look like Hitler. You would not think that I was Hitler. But when people look at this painting, I think anyway, they believe, oh, someone painted a picture of Hitler. Well, couldn't have done, because Hitler had only just been born when his painting was complete. But the face, how's he looking like the guy's face in the painting? Because he does. And if you saw the image, if you saw the painting, von Stuck's painting, and if you didn't know any better, you may say he's painting a picture of Hitler. Look, I'm 99% sure it's obviously Hitler saw this work and modelled himself on the work. But there's just a 1% chance that it could be precognitive, that the painter for somehow is remembering his future. He's not aware that he's remembering his future. If he later becomes aware of Hitler and he notices the similarities in his work, he'll say that either Hitler is copying the work or it's just a coincidence. Anyway, so that's my video. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.